Hello everyone. Today we would be doing a deep dive on different storage options, and what we would be covering is first of all the benefits of having storage on cloud. Then we would look at multiple factors that we should actually think about while deciding what storage option should we select. Also we would go through the different storage options that AWS provides, and then there are multiple use cases that I have put together, or you may say requirements, which we would go through those requirements to see if the requirement is such, what is the storage option that should be used. Also we would do a comparison between the different AWS storage options. So let's get started. What are the benefits of having our storage on cloud? So let's talk about top 5 benefits that are there. So number 1 is scalability. We do not need to plan beforehand in terms of how much storage am I going to need in future, because I can scale my storage. Second is high availability. All the services that are provided by any cloud vendor are highly available, so we don't need to worry about high availability. There are different mechanisms also to take snapshot, backups, etc. Third is the flexibility. There are multiple options that are provided, and based on our requirement we can select what type of storage do we want to go for. So shortly we'll talk about the different factors that we should look at and then decide on what storage to choose. Fourth is the cost saving. Because we are using a pay as you go model and we are scaling as and when needed, so definitely there is a lot of reduction in cost. And last but not the least is about the management of the entire thing, or maintenance of our machines, or patching them, upgrading them, because it's not on premise, it's on cloud. We are using the cloud storage services, so we don't need to bother about the upgrades, maintenance, etc. So all in all, putting our data on cloud makes a lot of sense in terms of cost, scalability, reliability, and all of those factors. Now, what are the things that we should be considering while we choose a storage option? Because there are multiple storage options that are out there. First of all is access method. We should think whether we want that storage that we are selecting to be block type, file type, or object type. Second is the throughput. What is the throughput that I am expecting? How many reads would I do? How many writes would I do? What is my throughput that is needed? That should be also considered, because every storage option comes with a different kind of throughput it provides. Availability and durability. What is the durability and availability that I am looking at? Because that depends on how critical my data is. Then the growth rate. The growth rate is important because in future when the data keeps growing, how can I scale my storage? How flexible is my storage, or how cost efficient is my storage to the growth that I'm expecting? Then patterns of access. Patterns of access is whether I want to access the data randomly or it's a sequential access. What is my access pattern? Then frequency of access. Do I want my data to be always available online, or it is like there is a need to access the data in real time very frequently, or there is a need for offline access? Do I want to archive the data, for which I am looking at a storage option? That is also very important. Then the frequency of update, whether it is a write once, read many times model, or it is a dynamic access where I'm just accessing the data as and when needed. So all of these factors should be kept in mind while selecting any of the storage options. Let's look at the different storage options that AWS provides. So there are many more, but for today we are going to concentrate on 6 of these services. We'll talk about S3 Instance Store, which comes along with the EC2 machine, EBS, which is Elastic Block Store, EFS Elastic File Store, Glacier, and FSx Windows. So let us look at use case and then try to see if this is the requirement, then what should be the storage option. So first of all, let's say we want a very high performance cache for an application and we do not want it to be shared across. We just want it for that application, and because of high performance needs we want it to be acting as a cache. We are okay if we lose the cache when the machine terminates, because it's not a very highly critical data. Okay, if this is the requirement, then we should be using instance store. Now what is an instance store? An instance store is basically the storage that comes along with your EC2 machine. It's a block level storage, but it is a temporary storage, and it is physically attached to the host computer. So any kind of requirements where we want to store temporary data like buffers, caches, scratch data, or any other temporary content which is okay if I lose it, then we would go for an instance store. Because if you terminate the machine or you reboot the machine, you would actually lose this data. So that's about instance store. Then let us look at the next kind of requirement. If I have a requirement where I want to extend the storage of my EC2 instance, because when you choose a EC2 instance in Amazon, it comes with a predefined storage and compute capacity. And depending on your need, you choose what you want, because the prices vary. As and when you increase the compute and memory, the price would go up. So that there is a fixed capacity that we spoke about, that is the instance storage. But if I want to extend that storage, I want to select a medium machine, EC2 machine, and it has some basic storage capacity. I want to increase that. Okay. And I also do not want to lose that data, because if I keep it in instance store, like we saw, we may lose the data. So I want something which is more reliable. In that case, what should be my option? So my option can be a elastic block store. So elastic block store comes in many flavors: SSD, HDD, and previous generation. And what to select depends on the requirement. So for an elastic block store, if I have a requirement for optimized transactional workloads, I want to do very frequent read and write operations with small IO size, and I'm concerned about the input output per second, the IOPS, then I would choose a SSD type of EBS. If I have very large streaming workloads and I'm concerned about the throughput, then I would go for HDD type, hard disk drive type of EBS. And there are certain previous generation EBS types as well, where the data set is small, the data is accessed infrequently, and performance may not be my primary importance. Why we have these three flavors is, of course, the requirement is different, but the cost is also different. So based on my need, I can select one particular type of EBS. But essentially, EBS is needed when I want to increase the storage size for my instance. And EBS also offers snapshotting feature, so we can take snapshots continuously of our EBS volumes. That way, even if in case of failure, we can recover from the snapshot. Another requirement can be that there are EC2 Windows servers that need to share some data. So there are multiple EC2 machines which want to share some data between themselves. So what is the option? The option can be a network file system which is mounted and which is shared across the EC2s. Now, but here my specific requirement is that the EC2 machine is a Windows machine. It's not a Linux machine, and there is a need to have Active Directory integration as well. In that case, the storage option that I may choose is Windows FSx servers, because they are fully managed, highly available, scalable file storage. They can be accessed across multiple EC2 machines. So if I have hundreds of EC2 machines, or I have multiple EC2 machines, I can have a shared file system, FSx for Windows. It has Active Directory integration. It is also highly available. It has single availability zone as well as multiple availability zone. Availability zone is nothing but within a region there can be multiple physical data centers. Those are known as availability zones, and they are used primarily for higher reliability. This is accessible from Windows, Linux, and Mac OS compute instances. So any kind of instances can actually access this kind of a file system. So wherever my requirement is to share data between specifically Windows EC2 systems or Linux, Mac OS, I can use this option. One more requirement can be, if I have same data that I want to access across multiple availability zones on maybe hundreds or thousands of EC2 machines, but here my machines are not Windows machines, they are Linux machines. and I want to see my entire tree view of what folders are available, etc., like we do in a POSIX file system, then what is the storage option that I have? I want a shared storage system. In this case, I can use Elastic File Store. Now, Elastic File Store has one limitation: it cannot be used with Windows machines. That's why for Windows we specifically spoke about FSX file sharing system. But here for Linux kind of machines, we can definitely use Elastic File Store. It is a scalable managed service. It can attach to multiple EC2 instances and can actually scale to petabytes of data. And the one more benefit that Elastic File Store provides is it has standard and infrequent access storage class. So if your data is not being used for a longer period of time, you can move it to the infrequent access storage. That will reduce the cost. The data can be encrypted here in transit as well as in rest, and AWS backup can be used. So AWS backup is another service which helps you to take backup of data. So it can be scheduled to take automatic backups or incremental backups of whatever is kept on the Elastic File Store service. So EC2 instances within VPC also can use the EFS directly. So any requirement where we want different Linux EC2 machines to access a common file store and also scale to petabytes, we should be using Elastic File Store. Now, if the requirement is that I just want to bring in a lot of data and land it into my cloud as a first step, like if I want to create a landing layer where I want to keep any kind of file, whether it is media file, audio file, or any kind of other data files that are there, or I want to do a static website hosting very quickly. In all of these scenarios, what is the best storage option to use? Even today, for most prominent use cases like data lakes, this is the storage option that is most widely used. For all layers, not only landing layer, even for the process data to reside, this layer can be used. This is S3, Simple Storage Service. It's an object-oriented data store. It is very reliable. It has 11.9 durability, and it's a very inexpensive storage. We can do a lot of concurrent reads, writes. We can store objects and we can do versioning for those objects, and they can be accessed from multiple devices. So it's a very inexpensive way of storing data in cloud, and most of the time this is the storage service that is used for storing data or archiving data. So S3 has, when I say archiving, there is a separate service called Glacier, and we can take data from S3 into Glacier as well. So like I said, archiving, when my requirement is to archive data at a very low cost for, let's say, number of years because of compliance or regulations, then my storage option should be Glacier. In Glacier also we have two types: Glacier archival and deep archival. Now it's extremely low cost cloud storage of Amazon S3. It primarily used for archiving and long-term backup. The cost is so low that it is approximately $1 per terabyte per month. And depending on what is our access requirement, if the requirement is that the data, of course this cannot be data which is like actively available and can be accessed immediately. There is a lead time to get the data because it is in the archive. So but there are three options: expedited can be 1 to 5 minutes, standard can be 3 to 5 hours, and if it is a bulk request to access, then it can take 5 to 12 hours. So of course the data has a lead time there's a lead time to get the data, but then it is very cheap and very frequently used across the industry for archival. So in a nutshell, today we spoke about a number of storage services, practically 6 of them, and what should be the requirement when we actually are going to use any one of these 6 storage services. Okay, now let us just summarize this whole thing and look at a comparison of the storage types. What is the comparison? When should what be used? So I have divided this into 4 sections: block, file system, object, and archival. These are the broad 4 categories. What are the services that are available? What is the latency, the throughput, and whether they are shareable or not? So if you look at block storages, there are EC2, then it is EC2 Instance Store or Elastic Block Store. their latency is lowest, okay, because they are attached to the instance, the machine. Throughput is a single throughput, and they are shareable because you can mount these EBS volumes onto your EC2 machine and you can snapshot them. So this can be shared. Today the EBS is attached to one machine, tomorrow I can attach it to some other machine, but at one point of time one EBS volume will always be attached to one EC2 instance only. One EC2 instance can have multiple EBS volumes, but one EBS can be attached only to one EC2 instance. Then if there is a need for a file system type of storage, then Amazon EFS and Amazon FSX. FSX would be used when it's a Windows machine, because EFS cannot support Windows machine. If it is a Linux machine, we would use EFS. It can scale to petabytes. Latency is also low and throughput can be multiple. It can be shared across many clients, because thousands of EC2 machines can actually access one EFS or FSX for Windows. If an object oriented or a very low cost storage is needed which can scale very well, then we would go for Amazon S3, and it is shareable across many clients. Similarly, for archival needs we would use Glacier, where the latency is high because it is for archival, but the cost is very low, throughput is high, and it is not shareable because Glacier is something like an archival and there is a lead time to get the data. So that is in a nutshell the overall summary of all the 6 services that we saw. In the next videos, I would be talking about the other storage service types, like the database type of storage services, and then we would go through the different requirements that are there and what database service should be used. Please do not forget to subscribe or like the channel to get many more such interesting videos. Thanks everyone.